Okay, what did I say? Okay, happy Monday, I want to say, and good morning, but it's not morning for all of you who are watching. So, happy Monday, just in general. Today is the day for Helix of Success Live, and today I'm alone again. Rule of taking break and enjoying the sun in Provence in France, which I'm very happy for him for. Today it's again gray here in Iceland, but we had a very nice summery weekend with plus 14 Celsius, which is summer here. Anyways, today I want to talk about calling out the elephants in the room. I've been told that I'm very good at that, and I thought of sharing a couple of ideas how I manage to do that, just because I think a lot of us would like to do it more often when we feel like it's needed in the rooms. So what I talk about, what I mean when I talk about the calling out the elephants in the room is those kind of situations when you disagree, or those kind of situations when you feel like, okay, this is not how it should be, or I am affected, or we're not talking about the whole picture and we should at the moment because we're not taking into consideration some important aspects of the topic what we're discussing. So those kind of situations when you feel like something is obvious, everyone may be seeing it, but not everyone is talking about that, or no one is talking about that. And I know it can be scary to go there and be this person who brings up those tough issues. You can be seen as the party pooper or the difficult person to handle, that person who always is critical, for example, and not everyone likes that. What I want you to think about is, do you like to be liked by everyone, but not yourself? Or do you want to be liked by yourself? Because quite often when we feel like, okay, there is something here that we should be talking about, and you don't dare to talk about that, that means that you're going out of alignment with yourself. That affects you. I'm not talking about woo things, like, I don't know, mumbo jumbo things like alignment with energy or whatever. No, I'm talking about particular things. Your mental health, your physical health, your productivity, your joy from life. Those things are important, and I bet you want to have them in good shape. And for that, you really need to speak up when you feel like it has to be done. I hope I'm selling you into the idea that this is important. Because as I said, if you are suppressing those thoughts of yours and your opinions, they affect you. You feel less safe. You feel less satisfied with your work, with your colleagues, with your employees. Teamwork is not optimal. That affects your revenues. That affects your income. That affects everything in your life. You come home, you snap at your wife. You come home, you're not present for your children. You really get into this dissatisfaction mode that really spills over all the areas of your life. And that is an ugly picture to have. And I'm pretty sure you don't want to get there. So, to not get there, start learning to speak up. When you feel like something needs to be discussed, practice to discuss it. And when I was trying to analyze, okay, what am I doing that I see that some other people maybe don't practice enough? First one is seek alliances. Look for that other person who might be thinking the similar way that you do. So often did I get out of the rooms when I spoke up, and people came over to me, reached out and said, hey, I was thinking about that. It was so brave that you said about that. Those people are in the room. You're never alone with that opinion. There's always someone who thinks similarly. And when you seek those alliances, when you talk to people and you say like, hey, here we're critical in a similar way. And critical, I mean, not just like pouring BS over every idea that is discussed, but in a constructive way, right? You're thinking maybe a step further, or you're thinking of a bigger picture, or you're directly, or vice versa, you're a bit more as a specialist in a room of generalists, and you're thinking about some particular thing that can be very significant for the change you're discussing, for example. Look for people who somehow would agree with you and discuss it outside of that room. prepare yourself. Have an agreement that you'll support each other. You'll give shout out to each other. Maybe you can ask that person if you think like, okay, we're getting to that topic, but we're avoiding it. Ask the person to ask you for an opinion. Like, for example, I would agree with the rule of that when we get to those topics, he would ask me, Anna, what do you think about this? Because this is the sign for me that he knows that we're gonna, like, we need to bring it up, and he agrees and he'll back me up. And that is the support that I need. Then I can speak up, and then Roloff can chime in. And then we're already two people discussing that. So not everyone is pointing fingers at you. If that is helping you, seek those alliances. Second thing I would like you to tap into is knowing what you stand for. Again, just as I said, if you are not speaking up, you feel, let's say, badly about yourself because you are not true to yourself. And to avoid that, get crystal clear on what your values are. What do you want to bring to this table, to this discussion, to this team, to your work, whatever? Think about it and have it clearly stated for yourself. And keep it as an intention when you come to the room. I want to bring clarity. I want to bring empathy. I want to bring customer focus into the room. When you come into the room, for example, with very smart engineers, quite often we get so much into details about discussing the product instead of discussing what the product brings to people. Because people don't buy the product, they buy the experience and they buy the solution to their problems, right? And if we focus too much on the product itself, we'll lose those customers. We'll lose them that they never buy in the first place, or we'll lose them when they never cut back and we don't retain them. So maybe this is what you're good at, seeing that customer perspective and bringing it there to the table. So then set intention and have it. Like, I stand for customer experience. I want people who pay for our product or our service feel wow every time they use it. I want to retain the customers. And that is what I will bring to the table. And that's the elephant I will call out in the room if we get there. If we start discussing technical details on the level that doesn't help us bring the revenue and return and grow our revenue as a company. Or vice versa. Maybe you have all the visionary people in the room and ideas just fly high, which is amazing for creativity. But if we need to come into the room and the intention or the goal of the meeting is to solve some particular problem, and everyone is just all over the place on a high level, maybe you can be the one who is bringing everyone down. Like, hey, let's focus on this problem at the moment because this is what we need to solve for our customers, our employees, to continue the journey. Whatever. Set an intention and think about what is important to you. And when you have this clarity, it will be easier to call out on the elephants, but also to filter, okay, which topics might be important to me, but on the bigger scale, they're okay to not discuss at the moment. So those are the elements we can keep in the room undiscussed. But what is really essential for me? What makes me feel like something is not working? What affects my joy from work? And those are the elephants that have to be addressed. So to repeat, the first one, look for alliances. Second one, know what you stand for. Really get super clear on what is important to you and what do you want to bring to the table, to the discussion. I see a comment here from someone who didn't give permission to stream yet to see your name, so I don't know who you are, but comment is, oh, this is so true. Focus on the solution of the problem, not the product. The project should not become more important than the problem you need to solve. Yeah. You need to think about it always from the customer perspective. What are people buying? What are they paying for? Of course, they can be into the product, but it's always something deeper. There is always something under that. When you buy an iPhone or you buy Tesla or you buy some super premium car, that is solving some kind of problem to you. And if you tap into that and if you have focus on that in your development of the products and services, in your strategy for marketing, in your strategy for the company growth, that will help you so much. And always think about the employees as well. Some of the gurus in the marketing space, they say, okay, my number one priority is my team. Number two are my clients. And number three, myself. I wouldn't disagree with the myself part. We always need to lead with our own example, right? As the leaders. So there is a bit open for discussion, let's say. But I really want you to emphasize and to bring your attention to the focus on your employees. What's the journey for them? I'm right now rewriting my brand identity for the company. And one of the things that I'm writing about there is employee experience. How do our employees feel when they work for my company? What are they bringing to the table? How are we interacting with each other? How are we feeling? So not only about the customer, but also about the employee, because that's my internal customer. And I want to keep my team happy, healthy, and stay with me if that's aligned with what they want in their life. And I want to give you the third tip here, and that is the intention to learn. That has helped me a lot. When I saw something in the room going on, and I was like, we can do better here. I would always have that hat on me, like, okay, I want to learn. I'm not here to criticize what has been created. Maybe there is some background and some history to this discussion that I don't know. So I would always always open up with that question. Okay, help me understand. This is what I see. This is what I think about it. But maybe I'm missing some puzzle pieces that actually change the situation completely and the picture completely. So bring it with this intention. And when you phrase it that way, that you want to understand and you want to learn, not just kind of criticizing everyone around you and kind of attacking people, because that's how people can feel when you're bringing up those conversations, uncomfortable conversations, and you start speaking up about those elephants in the room. Think about it like, okay, what am I missing? And put it out there. And quite often that worked super well for me. And you can feel like, oh yeah, I don't want to look like I'm stupid or something like this. But there is so much power in that. And again, when I spoke up that way, quite often we would come to, no, there are no missing pieces here. Or there are some pieces that kind of created this kind of situation for us before in the history of the project or whatever product service. But that information is now outdated. And with what we know now, that doesn't make sense anymore. And I don't know whether you've seen that video, but there is this video where they made those experiments, social experiments, where a person comes into the room, in the waiting room, to see a doctor. And all the others there are actors. And then there is a bell ringing. And everyone but this real person, real patient, gets up, stands up. And then the person feels awkward and stands up as well. And then slowly the actors are coming through the line, so to say, and there are fresh people coming in, more and real patients. And what is happening is that more and more people are doing this thing, standing up when the bell rings. And in the end, there is no a single room or a single person in the room who knows why the heck I was standing up. But everyone is doing it, so we're doing it as well. That is kind of the elephant in the room as well. And think about it. Maybe there used to be a reason for us to stand up, but not anymore. Be the one who asks, hey guys, why the hell are we standing up? Because the chances are 80% of the room are wondering the same thing. But no one is daring to ask because they don't know or they're not clear on what they stand for example. And bring it. as I said, with this kind of intention to learn, say, hey, there was maybe something that I've missed. There's maybe something that happened in the project or in the company before I've joined. Why I was standing up. I want to understand because for now I don't understand, so it's difficult for me to follow and to do it. What's the reason for us to do whatever we're doing? And as I said, you can't lose in this. First of all, you have a lot of people who will come over to you and say, I was wondering the same. Thanks for asking. So you'll get more power, you'll have the credibility in the team. Secondly, you might fix the thing that a lot of resources are wasted on. And again, we tie it back into the productivity and into the revenues and into performance of your team. Maybe you're wasting a lot of energy and your time and your money onto something that doesn't make sense anymore or never did. So pay attention to those things. And as I said, try to bring it as the learning opportunity. And as I said, if there is a history and there is some good reason for doing this thing, then you'll learn it. And then it's easier for you to follow it instead of sitting there and wondering, why the hell? So I really want you to think about it this week. What are the elephants in the room that have been annoying you recently or taking your energy from you, taking your attention from the discussion, for example? What are the things that you don't understand? Why we're doing them, for example? What are the things that you don't agree with? What are the things that go against your values, but you are doing them because the team is doing it? Think about it, write a list, and pick one thing to discuss this week with your team, with your employees, or at least with one of the employees to start looking for those alliances. Take that small step. So to summarize, those three things that I would like to think about so that you get the courage, let's say, to speak up about those elephants in the room and call them out. 1, seek alliances. Talk around at the water cooler or whatever in this Zoom chats, one-to-one with people, and just ask, explore. Is everyone on the same page? Or other people who are actually wondering just like you? And if you find someone who is aligned with you with those questions, think about how can you bring those things up. Maybe 2 of you can schedule a meeting with the project manager or the CEO of the company or whatever. So kind of 1 to 2 meeting where the 2 of you are asking that question. If you don't feel like comfortable and safe enough to do it in the whole team meeting, for example. Reach out to the person, the senior in your team, and say, hey, the 2 of us have been wondering about this thing. Could we have a short chat and so that you can explain the background to us? Seek those alliances. They really will help you to start talking about the things. Secondly, be clear what you stand for. Your values, what you want to bring to the table, what you want to bring to your end customer. What kind of experience do you want to create for your team? As a leader, as an employee, whatever. Be clear on what you want to have as your identity in this role of yours. And number 3, use intention to learn. Come with that intention and ask the questions from that perspective. Hey, I don't understand something that I want to understand. And then say, hey, great, I learned something today. With that intention, it's so much easier to ask those questions and start talking about those elephants in the room. I hope this was helpful. Let me know. If you want more conversations like this, join the Helix of Success group. It's always there on LinkedIn. It's always for free. And we have over 150 members now. And around 100 posts with topics just like this one, calling out the elephants in the room. And tune in next Monday for another live conversation, hopefully with Roloff next time. We'll see. I think he was planning to join next week. And we're discussing to bring on guests to discuss things about the helix of success. So stay with us and have a wonderful week.